Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling one of those, really naughty bits of English grammar,
hmm
when to use the ing form, the gerund, and when you need to, the infinitive.
Yeah, it trips people up all the time.
It really does. You hear it, you probably feel it yourself sometimes, wondering, like, why does I enjoy swimming sound right, but so does I want to swim?
Exactly. And it might seem a bit random, but there's some logic behind it.
Okay.
So our mission today really is to shed some light on that, give you a clearer picture, some practical ways to think about it
Sure.
so you can make those choices, more easily and sound, well, more natural.
Right.
We'll dig into why those enjoy and want examples work differently, and definitely get into those tricky verbs like stop or remember,
Ah,
where the choice completely flips the meaning. It's quite important.
definitely. So how are we going to map this out?
Well, first, we'll look at the three sort of main principles that usually decide things.
Okay, the big rules.
Then we hit the danger zone, those verbs where ing or to really changes what you're saying.
Got it. The ones to watch out for.
Yep. After that, the ones that are like non-negotiable, verbs that only take one form, period.
The grammar hardliners.
Aha, yeah, exactly. And then we'll finish up with some just real-world tips, how to sound natural, not like you're reading a textbook.
Perfect. Okay, let's get into it. Where do we start with these rules?
Okay, rule number one. Generally, if you have a verb followed by the gerund, the obing form, it usually means you're talking about a general activity or maybe something ongoing.
Right, like your I enjoy swimming example. Swimming,
Uh,
there isn't, one specific swim tomorrow at 3 p.m.
No.
It's the hobby, the activity in general. Or maybe he avoids answering.
Uh,
Answering isn't about one particular question he dodged. It's more like a habit, something he keeps doing. Or not doing, I guess.
Precisely. It's often about the experience itself, the process, not one single instance.
Okay, that makes sense. So that's a de-ing. What about two? Rule two.
Rule two often involves the infinitive, so to plus the verb,
Mm-hmm.
and this tends to point towards something specific or an intention, often something in the future.
Okay, so like she wants to travel. Traveling there is a future plan, right? A goal.
Yep, a specific desire.
Or they decided to leave. That's a specific choice they made, an action that's going to follow that decision.
Exactly. The to often signals that purpose or that future direction.
Purpose, intention, future. Got it.
And then rule three. This is where English gets, well, interesting.
Uh-oh.
Some verbs, they can actually take both forms, gerund or infinitive, but, and this is the important bit, the meaning can change, sometimes subtly, sometimes quite dramatically.
Right, like the verb like. You can say, I like dancing, and that sounds fun.
Totally fine.
But you can also say, I like to dance. Also fine. Is there a difference there? It feels like there might be a little bit.
There often is, yeah. I like dancing usually suggests enjoying the activity itself, the general feeling, the process.
Okay, the experience.
Yeah. Whereas I like to dance, it can mean the same thing, but sometimes it implies more of a specific preference or habit. Like I like to dance on Saturday nights, or I like to dance when I need to unwind. Maybe a bit more deliberate.
Okay. A subtle shade of meaning, but then you get the big ones like stop.
Ah, yes. The classic.
I stopped smoking. Very clear meaning. You quit the habit,
Done. Finished.
but I stopped to smoke. Completely different.
Totally different. You were doing something else, maybe walking.
Uh-huh.
You paused that activity in order to have a cigarette.
Wow. Just that little change from ing to to flips the whole scenario.
It really does. And it's not just random. Often verbs taking the gerund relate to experiences, ongoing things. Verbs taking the infinitive often connect to goals, intentions, future stuff. It's a tendency, not a perfect rule, but it helps build that intuition.
That's a helpful way to think about it. Okay, so those general tendencies are useful, but you mentioned the danger zone where we really need to be careful.
Yes. These are the verbs where a slip-up can genuinely cause misunderstandings. Let's take remember.
Okay.
If I say, remember to call your mom.
That's an instruction. Don't forget this future task.
Exactly. A reminder for later. But if I say, I remember calling my mom yesterday.
That's looking back. That's a memory of a past action.
Completely different function. Future task versus past recollection.
Okay. And forget works the same way.
Pretty much, yeah.
Huh.
I forgot to lock the door.
Meaning you didn't do it, the action was omitted.
Right, it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll never forget meeting her.
Ah, that's a memory again. A past event you won't lose.
Such a contrast, isn't it?
It really is. What about try? That one seems tricky too.
It can be. If your computer's playing up and I say, try restarting it.
That sounds like a suggestion, like see if this fixes the problem, an experiment.
Exactly. A possible solution. But if I say, try to restart it.
That feels different. Like it might be difficult, like you need to make an effort, maybe it's frozen.
Precisely. The two often implies effort, difficulty, attempting something challenging.
Okay, wow. Subtle but important.
Very. And here's a useful little tip we found. When talking about negative memories, like regrets about the past, the ing form is usually the way to go.
Okay, so like, I regret eating so much.
Yes. You did eat it, and now you feel bad about that past action.
Right. What about I regret to inform you? That uses to.
Ah, good point. That's a bit different. It's more of a formal phrase for delivering bad news. You're not regretting the act of informing someone.
You're regretting the news itself.
Exactly. It's a set expression, really. We actually heard from a listener at Grammar Regret.
Ah, good name.
Right. They said, I accidentally told someone I regret to tell you something personal when I actually meant I regret telling you.
Oh, wow. Big difference in feeling. One is formal bad news. The other is personal regret about sharing.
Huge difference. It just shows these verbs are like little linguistic tripwires.
Definitely need to watch your step there. Okay, so that's the danger zone. What about the verbs that aren't flexible? The ones that demand one form or the other?
Right, the grammar purists, as you call them. Some verbs simply only pair with the gerund.
Like enjoy. We keep coming back to that one. You just don't say, I enjoy to swim.
Never. It sounds, well, wrong.
Yeah, clang. What others are in that camp?
Lots of common ones. Avoid, consider, imagine, finish, mind, suggest.
Okay, so she avoids answering, not avoids to answer.
Correct. Or have you considered moving? Not considered to move.
Got it. They just like that ing form, often things about activities or thoughts, maybe.
Often, yes. That seems to be a pattern. And then you have the flip side, verbs that only take the infinitive.
Yeah.
Too.
Okay, who are these guys?
Think of verbs like agree, decide, hope, promise, offer, plan, want.
Ah, okay. So it's always he agreed to help.
Yes. Never agreed helping.
And they hope to win.
Not hope winning. These often relate to plans, decisions, future intentions, things pointing forward.
Which lines up with what you said earlier about the infinitive often signaling future actions.
Exactly. It reinforces that idea.
We actually saw a great tip from at Gerund Guardian, wasn't it? They suggested keeping like a red list for the ing-only verbs and a blue list for the to-only verbs.
Yeah, I thought that was brilliant. Just having that visual separation could really help cement them in your memory.
Definitely a practical hack. Okay, so we've got the rules, the danger zones, the strict verbs. How do we actually put this all together and sound, normal when we speak?
Right, because knowing the rules is step one, but using them smoothly is the goal.
Yeah, not sounding like a grammar robot.
Exactly. Okay, tip one. If you're really unsure, sometimes you can just sidestep the whole gerund infinitive thing.
How?
By using that followed by a clause. So instead of umming and ahhing about I hope going versus I hope to go.
You could say,
I hope that I can go, or I hope that you'll come.
Ah, clever. It avoids the direct verb following verb issue.
Often, yeah. It's a neat little workaround and sounds perfectly natural.
Good one. What else?
Tip 2. Listen to native speakers and mirror what they do. Pay attention. You'll notice, like we said, with love.
Right. I love cooking and I love to cook. Both sound fine.
Totally fine. Native speakers use both. In cases like that, don't sweat it too much. Pick one that feels right or maybe fits the slow nuance you want and just be consistent. The key is noticing which verbs allow that flexibility.
Okay, so observe and imitate. Makes sense.
Tip 3. Watch out for prepositions. This is a big one.
Prepositions like about, of, for.
Yes, exactly. After a preposition, you almost always need the gerund, the ing form. It's a pretty solid rule.
Give me an example.
I'm thinking about moving, not thinking about to move.
Right. Or she's interested in learning.
Perfect. Not interested in to learn, or thanks for helping, not thanks for to help.
Okay. Preposition followed by ing. That's a really useful one to remember.
It covers a lot of situations. And the final tip really is just trust your ear as it develops.
How do you mean?
We saw some advice saying if a particular combination sounds wrong to you, it probably is wrong. Like, I suggest to go.
Yeah, that just feels off.
It does, doesn't it? Because the natural form is, I suggest going. As you listen more, read more, you start to get an instinct for these things. It starts to sound right or wrong.
So immersion helps build that intuition.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate that feel for the language.
Okay, this has been really clarifying. Let's maybe quickly recap the main points.
Sure. So the big picture, gerunds, infinitives
Mm.
often lean towards general activities, ongoing stuff, experiences. Infinitives too often point to specific actions, future intentions, purposes.
Right.
Then you've got those danger zone verbs, remember, forget, try, stop, where the form drastically changes the meaning. You got to know those.
Definitely.
And learn the verbs that only take one form or the other, the enjoy types and the decide types. Making lists helps there.
Good idea.
And finally, for sounding natural, use that clauses if unsure. Mirror native speakers always use being after prepositions, and trust your developing intuition.
Excellent summary. So that brings us to our final thought for everyone listening, building on that idea of sounding natural. Maybe take a moment to think about how this choice, gerund versus infinitive, isn't just about grammar rules. It can actually subtly shift the nuance, the emphasis of what you're saying or what you're hearing.
Yeah, it's more than just correct or incorrect sometimes.
Exactly. Can you think of times you've noticed this? Or maybe made a choice yourself, perhaps unconsciously, that changed the flavor of the message? It's a really fascinating layer of English once you start tuning into it. Something to mull over.